Greetings, GameCola faithful, and welcome back to another episode.
Dramatic pause.
Yep. I was trying to think of something creative to do this time, just to spice things up. And in so doing, I spiced things up by leaving it an awkward pause because I couldn't think of anything.
Spice things up with nothing.
Yep.
Shall we attempt to salvage this for introductions, or are we just going to assume people came directly from the last episode? Because they needed to know more about what our ideal end game is in an RPG.
Yes, and
I think that works as great as an intro.
yeah, that's perfect. And in case you somehow had some something weird happened, there's a strange rift in subspace, and you forgot who we are. I'm James.
I'm JD.
I'm Nathaniel.
And I'm Mark.
Perfect. Now you're all caught up, and now that I'm assuming that was the only thing you forgot, since you're definitely coming in from the previous episode. So, we're talking about ideal end
Who are we
game.
again?
Yeah, what do we look for in the end game of a game? Specifically RPGs, but any games in general.
I look for the end.
Yeah,
Wow.
I look for the
please
game.
make it stop.
Oh, great start.
Ooh.
Just instant.
I was
No, the end
referring to
game.
Illith's life when I
Not the
said that,
start
by the
game.
way.
Yo, yeah, that's true. She died, and we somehow got off I think we got off an exploded. I might have to
Explode-death.
see. I'm not positive about that, but I think we did. I thought I saw
Explode it.
it.
He'll leave the light on for you.
Yeah, exploded.
Indeed.
Is that what the DE stands for?
Yep.
That-
Oh, you
that
know
was,
what? I didn't even check
Nathaniel.
Orpheo's current HP. He is not in a good way.
Yeah, it'll be.
That was Nathaniel made the joke first, and then James said it louder.
That's the way it
Oh.
usually goes.
Oh no.
There they go. Well, it's fine. We're only 3 steps out of. We're only 3 steps. Oh,
Didn't
hey.
we just heal?
Yeah, we did.
Dude looks at us and he's like, "You already?"
Two of your members are dead?
Oh, brother.
Yikes.
So
Hi, Mom. We're gonna go out and adventure.
So I guess Nathaniel, what do you look for?
I did want to mention before we get too far away from this little shrine place that it was very aesthetically pleasing. Again, I love the aesthetics of this whole area. It was very aesthetically pleasing to have the 3 party members lined up along the 3 columns in the middle of the room.
Oh, yes.
When we ended the previous video and started this one.
I did.
Just
Yeah.
little things like that I like.
Yep.
So for end games in RPGs, I always like to be surprised with something different from everything else that's been in the game so far. Give me one last thing to go like, oh wow, that's cool, or oh, that's, a different kind of challenge than I've ever experienced. I don't, to some extent, yes, I do like it being a culmination, maybe in the composition of the boss fights or final boss fight, or in the enemies that you face. I do like there being some amount of let's refer back to previous parts of the game and sort of synthesize everything. But I also like this is new, this is different, this is special, because that really sets the end game apart from everything else. I also like there being a narrative build-up of not just, okay, this is another dungeon, and then the game ends when you get to the end of it. I like that feeling of everything is building to this, and especially if it's a longer dungeon than you've ever faced before, or if it's like, okay, fasten your seatbelts, we are going for a ride here, and we may not be able to turn this car around. So things like Earthbound, for example, where there is a clear delineation between... Ooh.
Clear delineation between.
Yeah, sorry. No, Illith held on with 2 hit points there. Ah, Orpheus with 1.
He's gonna hold on with 0.
Well,
But a clear
Everything is
delineation.
not fine.
Clear clear delineation between the end game and the rest of the game. There is a clear point of no return, and the narrative ties up and everything, and there's just this grand finale that is different from everything else, and I love it. So things like that are what I like to see in the end game of an RPG.
Yeah, that. Oh, see, I wish I could explain a specific example, but I would be giving spoilers.
I mean, isn't that sort of the nature of this discussion?
Yeah, but like when we're speaking about it in terms of concepts, of mechanics, of design, we're not.
I mean, you could even just rattle off a couple of games whose end game you really enjoyed, and you don't even need to say anything about those games.
Oh, yeah.
But anybody who's played them or doesn't mind spoiling it for themselves looking it up can possibly see some similarities between those and say, I know what James is talking about.
Yeah, so I mean, my constant standby is Xenoblade Chronicles 2. That game has one heck of a last, like its last 2 chapters are huge revelations in terms of story. Like they're basically the culmination of everything that you've slowly been learning and been gathering about. In particular, learning about the villains of the story and their intentions and why they're doing what they're doing. It just sort of really changes how you look at their actions. And they are still very much villains. They are doing the wrong thing, and they have bad reasons for doing so. But it unlocks a little bit of insight into them as characters that suddenly gives you don't like what they're doing, but it gives you a new sense of appreciation. I don't even know if that's the right way to describe it. But oh man.
Well, yeah, just having something completely recontextualize or even partially recontextualize what you've been experiencing and seeing and thinking about up until then, is just generally very good writing, both on the part of video games and on movies and books.
So, one that I think about a lot is the original Lufia. I always tell this story that at the beginning of Lufia, right, it asks you to name your character, and then it drops you in with Maxim and his crew. And it's like, that's not what I named my character. And I remember that my dad like reset the game like 3 times and was like, there's something wrong with this game. It keeps putting me, like, it's not taking in the name that I gave it. The point of this is, the beginning of Lufia has you playing like a little sort of prequel stage in the past, right? And it is in the final dungeon. Both of Maxim's quest, the old-timey hero from the past, but also when you do get to the end of Lufia, you're like, oh, we're here. We're at this place. We're at this place that I've been before.
That's cool.
So, yeah, spoilers, but game that's like 30-something years old.
I will say, actually, go ahead and finish that thought. But on that specific remark of, this game is X number of years old, I have some thoughts about that I do want to get across.
I mean, I was basically done talking about Lufia. Other than that part of it, which I thought was cool, like there's a couple other cool little items. It is a exceedingly generic game.
I do have some thoughts like on the remark, and this is not a particular criticism against you, Jetty, and like I have been criticized for this opinion on occasion by friends of mine, which is that I tend to be very strict about spoilers. For example, I have never played Final Fantasy VII, but there is a certain piece of knowledge I know about something that happens in Final Fantasy VII, because it's just universally talked about everywhere. And in some sense, I think that that's unfortunate, because to everyone who grew up when Final Fantasy VII was new, that was a huge, that was a huge moment. And I don't know, I only know that the event occurs. I don't know of the context surrounding it. And obviously that's what is really important about it. But because I don't know, I just know that this thing happens, which I don't know if it catches you off guard at all, or if it's like this is something that builds up to and you're aware that it's going to happen for a while, or what. But if, for example, that is something that kind of hits you by surprise, now so many people who have not played this game cannot experience what it's like to have that happen in their playthrough if they were to ever play it. And I think that that's a shame. And so I try to be very mindful about the things that I describe. You know, say you meet a certain character, it's like, oh man, they're so cool when they join your party later. It's like, well, what? You can't just tell me that they join my, what the heck? Like, and that's something that's like potentially something that could be
it's really
spoiled
heartbreaking
by
when they betray you.
Right, and that can even be spoiled by like instruction manuals, like that tell you, oh, here's how this certain character controls in this game. And like, there's an argument that people have made against me, and I'm sorry, I'm not playing the game right now because I'm ranting. But this is just something I feel very passionate about, because I have heard the counter argument that it's like, well, you know, the official game material shows that such and such is controllable, or, you know, the trailers online show that such and such you can do certain thing happens. And I'm like, that's fair, but not everyone, you know, like certainly, I guess, especially with older games, you are expected to read the manual, and that's fair enough. But not everyone follows every single trailer for a game. Someone sees, okay, here's the first little trailer for what this game looks like. That's cool. I'm going to go and play that and have everything else, you know, surprise me. And maybe that's just the way that I play games. But I like to think that I'm not the only one who does that.
So you're not the only one. I'm a little softer toward it now, but I used to be extremely anti-spoiler, and to some degree I still am. Like, just give me enough information to get me interested enough to watch or play or read this, and that's it. That's all. Just get me hooked, and then I will experience the rest of it. Do not want to know anything more than that. And that's really difficult to keep up with. But if there's something that you're really passionate about, like, no, I'm going to stay off the internet for the entire first 2 weeks after this thing releases so that I miss most of the spoilers. Okay, great, cool. But with Final Fantasy VII in particular, I know what you're talking about. And I first played the game, I want to say 13 years after it was released. That's a long time for stuff to be spoiled. So I had that spoiled, and I knew what was coming. And it affected how I played the game, because knowing that this event was going to happen, I said, I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this, because I am interested in keeping this spoiler-free, see if I can do this.
We stay as uninvested as possible.
Yes, thank you. That's exactly the way to do it. So I played in a very particular way that prevented me from getting invested. And then after that, it was like, okay, I don't know what's coming next, so I'm just going to play however I would normally play. In retrospect, I was kind of sad, because I would have had, even though I had a good experience, I really did enjoy that game, I would have had an even better experience playing it the way I would have by getting invested.
There's a few things that the discussion went a lot of places, but the one that's most relevant now is
what?
Oh no!
What the hell?
What?
GameCola is utterly destroyed.
What?
Look away for 2 seconds and
I don't remember that.
It used sacrifice.
my silence.
Oh, wait, what?
That like magic burst.
Question is, how much gold did we lose? And how much do we care based on the XP that we gained?
We lost about 6K.
And we were still saving up for a shield and a few dragon scales.
But I feel like the dragon scales we can still afford, and
We're
like
making
they're not
gold
too
at a
bad.
decent enough rate. I don't remember the last time I save stated.
yeah, I think it's
All
been a
right, so
little
we'll live with it.
Yeah, we'll
Plus,
we'll,
if we're
we'll,
going
we'll
off of
revive
the-
with it.
if we're if we're going off of the minimum viable level for beating the final boss, we've still got plenty to go where we'll be grinding.
All
Yeah,
golded up.
I just
At
noticed
a
something.
minimum of 4 levels.
This is amusing to me. This exit to the
Yeah.
building is a
Yeah.
staircase, but we can also exit the building by
And
just walking
Through the
outside.
woods.
yeah.
It's on the side of a hill, you see.
Ah.
Yeah, well, it's like my house. Yeah.
Which is why the river runs on the side that's hilly.
Oh yeah, the stairs
wow,
go up
okay,
towards the mountain,
that-
and the
I'm actually kind of terrified now of those enemies. So my guess is that it's
Yeah.
some kind of desperation move when they're low on hit points, but they.
So, I've seen this move in other games, and maybe I've seen it in this game, and that's part of why I had such a negative opinion of it, and I just blocked that out of my memory. But I feel like I have previously seen it as you sacrifice yourself, you use all of your HP, and you blow up, and you either do extreme damage, but not necessarily murderous damage to all of your opponents, or you just completely obliterate one opponent.
Yeah, that just instant. Like, that was the effective defeat on all 3 of my party members.
Yeah. And that is straight up unfair.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing with the defeat spell or the whack spell or thwack, where there is a percentage chance everyone could theoretically bite the bullet,
Yeah.
but typically you have something you can do to prevent against that. But I don't believe there is anything that you can do here.
Yeah, that's kind of unacceptable game design right there.
Hey, unacceptable game design. But the Final Fantasy VII situation reminds me a lot of how much Luke, I Am Your Father, has entered the
I was
cultural
thinking about
zeitgeist,
that. Yeah, yeah.
right? And
Well, way to spoil that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well,
That
I
one
also
scene.
know I didn't spoil the the quote. Everybody remembers it wrong since it's
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I don't. What are we talking about? I've been zoned out completely.
Perfectly, we didn't
yeah.
spoil anything for you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Don't worry
good.
about it.
There's a
I heard we were
Pac-Man
talking
movie
about
in
some
which-
kind of quote that I. Whoa!
Something
the
about
bullwong
fathers
did
and
explode at.
Okay, so let me interrupt here for a second. This is ultimately what wrecked my endgame opinion of this game, because I just constantly had bullwongs exploding all over me, and I got really sick of it. Because it was like every time, it just everybody dies or everybody gets so roughed up, I have to run back and heal.
Yeah.
Yeah, ouch.
Mom, we're going out again. Wait for us for another, 30 seconds.
Yep, we'll be back.
Yeah, so the first time I heard that was in elementary school, 5th grade, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
Bef-
Definitely.
Probably like 8 years before I watched any of the Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
So it was just a fact of life. It's a thing that happened. We've said, I had no idea what the context was, what it was supposed
Yeah.
to make me feel. And by the time I went through Star Wars, I was sort of... I had enough media exposure under my belt to where all of the tropes that Star Wars birthed and inspired, I had seen a lot of those already without having seen the source
Do
material.
we want to take
And
out
so-
the Bat Boon first?
I
Make it
think it's
not
a desperation attack.
take us
I would
out.
rather take out the focus down
But-
the bullwong first to avoid explosions.
But desperation attack when it's the only one left.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, I could go either way on this one, but
Yeah, same. Yeah, just do whatever.
All right.
we just
Save
saved.
state, I guess.
Yeah.
Do what makes you feel
Nothing
good.
matters.
And if nothing makes exactly.
Yeah, nothing makes me feel good here. Ow.
Yeah, so I guess that's a way for me to say I did not really get invested in Star Wars, regardless
is that what
of
we were
whether I had
talking
known
about?
spoilers or not. Something like that.
Okay.
Something about being invested.
Gotcha. All right. Shield of Strength,
and-
please. Yay.
And that sort of is my whole opinion, has been my whole opinion on spoilers. I do not care one way or the other about knowing late game information. I used to think it doesn't really affect my experience at all, whether I'm watching a movie, reading a book, doing anything. But there is one game that changed my opinion on this. It is the one game that I really wish I did not spoil for myself for playing the last half hour of it. And I think part of the reason why I am so cavalier about spoilers is that I never expect to play the games or watch the movies or engage with the media because I just never expect to get my hands on it. And so this is Ghost Trick.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Wonderful game.
Ghost Trick Training
Wonderful,
Detective.
wonderful game.
Which you
10 out of
gifted
10
me, and I
recommend.
will eventually get around to playing. I do promise.
I look forward to our discussions about that. So please do stay entirely unknowledgeable about the events of that game as you approach the last few chapters, because
Yes.
it ramps up very fast. Because I was playing it with somebody else during orchestra class when we had a free moment on his
Wow.
iPhone. I
All
never
right, well,
expected
that's
to.
that.
Come on.
Are we all
The
gonna
entire
be out?
party's
Okay.
asleep.
You can.
And now the entire party's dead. Hooray.
So
Yeah, let's not save that attempt.
So of course, me being me, going, I'll never experience this game myself, I looked up what was going to happen at the end. And I was like, wow, cool, sick, this is amazing, this is really awesome. And then when I actually got the opportunity to get the game and play through the game later, I knew what the twist was. I could not experience the twist.
Mm-hmm. And that is a heck of a
Love-
twist as well. For Ghost Trick.
I love everything about the
Jenny,
game. And
sorry to interrupt. Jenny, what were you asking?
Are we continuing or are we loading the save state?
I loaded a save state and I'm continuing.
No, I guess I missed where we loaded it.
Yep.
Yeah, I also
Anyway.
missed that.
Yeah, so sorry, not to interrupt.
yeah, I mean, that's about it for that point. That's one of my two biggest gaming regrets.
Your other one being?
My other one being when I had the chance to pick up my first Pokemon game, I chose Sapphire instead of Emerald.
Ah.
And so this is another endgame discussion, and a post-game discussion specifically. Nathaniel, you mentioned how you like the endgame to be its own separate section, and now that you mentioned that, I agree. It's not like I want the endgame to just be a complete rehash of everything that came before. I want it to synthesize things that came before, make references
level
to
up.
things that came before, while being its own separate, exciting, and things that we've never seen before to keep us on the edge of our seats. All Pokemon games to date have ended with the Elite Four, the champion battle, just these hyper competent trainers. One presumes some of them have been really memed on, but they are the highest level in the game that you naturally encounter story-wise. They have really, for the most part, they have very tough teams, very well-rounded teams, and really high-level AI that have given many children nightmares. Depending on the champion in question, Cynthia is legendary in that regard. Games like Pokemon Emerald, Pokemon Platinum, after you've beaten the main challenge of the game, give you a playground. It's called the Battle Frontier. It takes the normal battling formula and then puts additional rules and spices it up and changes up the formula and the game plan. There's one of them is like, you actually have no control over any of your party members. James is over here selecting whether we want items and what actions, what spells we want to use. Imagine taking all of that away and just...
Oh,
come on.
Since the point of Pokemon is this fantasy of you are being partners with these creatures that you collect and befriend and grow with, you sort of like put your trust in them to do the things that will make you win. And there's a lot of flavor text that makes that happen. There are other ones that are completely luck-based. There are other ones that make you travel 5 layers of dungeon to get to the end. And that is a post-game that I think nails it. Because there is so much there that uses the core mechanics of the game while sprucing things up here and there, changing the rules without so much investment in terms of programming.
I have to walk back myself. Uh-oh.
Run back yourself, you mean?
Yeah.
So you tweak 1 or 2 parameters. You make things more random or less random, or you restrict resources. You give out rentals instead of letting players use their own partners that they've trained up. And you just let people loose on that. Pokemon Sapphire did not have this. It had one stupid, measly battle tower where all you do is fight endgame bosses over and over again, essentially. And I was really sad about that because I was bored out of my mind.
What?
Now, I think the Battle Frontier...
Wow, hard reset. Not playing around now.
The stuff I mentioned about, changing up the battle parameters and the rules, that gets a lot of criticism from people for being super grindy to even think about beating the whole thing, getting 100% completion on all of the things there are in that playground.
Gosh darn it.
It requires a stupid amount of luck.
Let's time out for a second until James is done with what he needs to do here.
Yeah, did we go back quite a bit? Yeah, okay, yeah.
That's literally all I wanted to do.
One giant.
All right, I can take you.
You can beat him.
That's more manageable. Yeah.
More bandageable?
So, to me, that's sort of the point. It is there for players who want to put stupid amounts of time and effort for something that really is quite meaningless in the end. If that's the kind of thing that can hold your attention, then go crazy. It's there for you. But there's no incentive in the post game otherwise, for me at least, besides those cool little credentials you get on your ID badge. Just a color change and like a star or something, to actually engage with any of that. You are free to not do it and just keep traipsing around the world and battling other people as you see fit, just for fun. I think what I'm getting at is the post-game of Sapphire and basically everything that isn't Emerald and Platinum is painfully mediocre in comparison.
So this ties well into a video that I just watched, and also I want to zoom back to the battles that we've been fighting, talking about the gold baboons and the unfairness of the sacrifice thing. If sacrifice is actually a spell that was cast and we can stop spell, then I will partially retract my statement about that being super unfair. Also, we could try to stop spell the Bullwong and see if that makes a difference.
Yeah, I actually had started, I don't know if it was noticed, but I did try to stop spell those gold baboons because I believe it was in fact a spell.
Another thing.
I'm also very disappointed that we get all these cool new spells. This is a problem I had with the first game as well, is that we get all these cool spells near the end game, but all of the enemies are almost entirely immune to a lot of my damaging spells, which renders them useless. And therefore, Illith is basically just dead weight. She's just a punching bag. Which, I mean, I guess there is some value in having that. She's someone who can absorb hits, however briefly, instead of the people who, you know, need to do who can actually contribute to the battle. But
yep, she's the tank.
Yeah, she's the. No, she's not. She's a wet paper bag. She's a wet paper bag that says "kick me" on it, and it's really sad because I feel like because she has all these cool spells that the enemies just happen to be immune to.
And that's another thing that I wanted to mention. I will connect back to the Pokemon discussion in a second. The phrasing of things goes a long way in video games to me. This whole, you know, but the spell had no effect on the Bullwong. That, I would rather say, but the Bullwong resisted the spell. Or, you know, depending on, is this actually a spell that does not ever work, in which case the spell didn't work, or is it, there's a chance it might work, but this time it didn't. And I feel like there should be a differentiation in wording on that. Also, it feels less bad if it's the monster resisted the spell and not, haha, you just wasted your MP. But as far as Pokemon discussion goes, I just watched a video. I am completely forgetting the name of the creator, but it was something that someone linked to, who played through all 6 Mega Man Battle Network games to completion. Actual, full, proper completion. Did the entire post-game of all 6 games. I am someone who has currently played 1 through 5, and I beat the game, and then played just enough of the post-game in each game to say, you know what, I am not nearly good enough at this. My battle chips are not nearly good enough. My strategy is not nearly good enough to be able to make it all that far, and this feels kind of tedious. So I'm not going to do this. I'll just move to the next game. And that worked fine for me, and I'm glad I did. This poor person spent, what was it, one of the games, I want to say the third one, was something like 65 hours of gameplay, 35 of which were post-game?
Yeah.
Something like that. Because it is, here's a bunch of random encounters in the cyber world, and you need to beat all of the enemies in a certain amount of time, taking as little damage or no damage as possible, to get a battle chip that is fancy that, you know, maybe you're not going to get from everybody. And then, especially with the bosses, where you need to fight the bosses multiple times in different locations, then they become random encounters, and you need to hit them quickly enough, and, you know, just all of this tedious grinding. And then here are super bosses who are just copy-pastes of earlier bosses you fought, just harder now, in really obnoxious ways. And just all of these things that are, it's filler, it's padding. It is just designed to make the game longer. And there's a little bit of new content in there, like maybe there's one more dungeon, or, you know, the equivalent of a dungeon. You know, there's 1 or 2 brand new bosses who have not been seen before. There's a tiny little bit more story. But for the most part, it is just there to extend the gameplay. And those are the post games that I don't want anything to do with. I'm like, if I want to, this whole experience that I've had this entire game, I would just replay the game. I don't want to reach a satisfying stopping point and then just do all of the most menial stuff again.
Baboons.
Right.
Huh.
So they have pure white fur, and
silver.
the other ones have peach-colored fur.
These look exactly the same to me, minus the wings.
They are pure white
that's
instead
pretty
of
much
being
early.
slightly reddish.
Yeah, and also their ears and their wings are gray instead of green.
Yeah, again, I guess the other body parts, what you're calling gray, also looked dark gray to me on the other sprite, so oh well.
Yeah, that's sort of what the inferior post game of Pokemon Sapphire was to me. Just the most tedious menial. It doesn't change. Yeah, it doesn't inject anything fresh into the experience, type of thing. Oh, and before I get myself too much into trouble from the people dying on the hill of Heart Gold and Soul Silver have the best post game, I do not consider going to Kanto as the post game. I consider that an amazing extension of the normal game.
I agree.
That they, yeah.
It's the second half. It's Act 2.
Yep.
I will check what that
would
new
be
spell is shortly.
Yeah.
After
That would be
I
another
heal.
amazing type of thing we look for in an end game when it just keeps going with new adventures.
Revive!
Oh.
Well, if only that was on GameCola, the guy that actually tends to survive freaking battles.
So I also like the implication that that is the last spell, but that there's one more battle spell. Because the one menu was full, but there was an extra space in the other menu.
It's an instant death spell called Unvive.
It works on him.
Yeah, it just...
Orfeo does what he does best, and he dies.
Yep, it's true. He's gotten
Defeat
so
part
good
two.
at it, he's managed to formulate a specific spell that achieves it instantly.
So James, have you got around to fully answering Nathaniel's question about what you look for in an endgame?
I still
Not
don't
this.
have anything beyond what has already been discussed at this point. I feel like everyone else's answers largely align with my own, and I do not have the spare mental capacity to try and come up with anything
You shouldn't have mentioned
further.
that last part because we could have all pretended that we were doing the talking for you while you were playing the game.
Well, you see, that's
heal,
the thing. You
heal,
say that you were
heal,
pretending
heal,
that you could
heal.
have pretended, but also you kind of just did do the talking for me.
Not that it mattered.
Well, see, this is why this LP, this Let's Play would never work if it was just me.
I mean, this
because
podcast.
there would be no commentary at all because I'm just focusing on the battle.
And then we all suddenly stopped talking.
Yep.
So I was
That was for
distracted
comedic effect,
because,
right?
We are, yes, doing the simulation of what the playthrough would have been like if it was just James.
Yeah, it was totally intentional.
Sorry.
Now, if you ever did want to run some experiments, or I guess just look it up online, you could try casting the defeat spell on different enemies and see what kind of success rate you have. Like if you're just roaming around in circles leveling up. I know that our plan was to actually make it back to the castle, but this is the problem that I ran into when I played this game eons ago, of not even being able to get to the castle, always having to turn back around and heal.
Yeah. Oh, I defeated...
Okay.
that's the first success that spell has had.
Does it do everything on the screen or just a group?
Just a group.
Okay. So I feel like there is some value in like large groups when we get like 3 baboons, 3 giants or cyclopses or whatever. That there is some value in trying to cast it.
Yeah.
Just to double check, does Illy still have the dragon scale equipped? Because I thought that maybe it was a spell resistance, but I thought it was a
she's got the
dragon scale.
dragon
It's still there.
scale.
Okay.
I will note, remember I had loaded up my old save of this game off screen in the Discord channel. And I had noticed that as well, that we were talking about like, oh, it gives you, resistance to certain effects. And it seems to be that it's resistance, not...
Yeah, but not protection fully.
Yeah. Because I definitely was like, oh no, but all of my characters have the Dragon's Bane. So... there's that.
Yeah, I think we've determined that magic damage frequently does not work against the attack bots.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. She can just revive herself.
Well, Orph has
Yeah.
revive.
Revive yourself from the afterlife.
Yeah,
It's
hang
outside
on.
of battle.
Yeah, it's an out of battle ability though. I'm just gonna have
That's
an
so
Orph parry because
good.
he can't do any meaningful.
Inverse of a shield of strength.
Yeah, I would say always Shield of Strength rather than parry unless you're already at full health. And, yeah.
What a good
Pow.
game.
Oh, now you pull that out.
Finally.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
1 HP left. Critical
Yeah, I
hit.
think I mentioned this before, but just the so low rate of critical hits in this game really sucks some of the powerful feeling out of it. Because that even any other game, you get critical hits on a somewhat regular basis, but this is like maybe we're getting one per video.
Yeah.
The enemies sometimes feel like they're getting more critical hits than us. Did I heal on the wrong person?
Yeah, you healed the. Yeah, it's fine.
I'll be honest, I totally forgot
we,
that. Critical.
I was going to say, did we want to cast Return?
Well, we would have if I
mean,
hadn't, but it's actually okay because
It's right there.
it's right here.
Oh, we're not that far.
Yeah,
yeah.
I went on the
so-
spot I thought was a shortcut to the castle, but it was in fact just a loop back here. Oh, great.
Ooh,
Save?
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So suggestion, once we get back here and heal up, let's run from every encounter that we can to get to the castle this video.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, we did that in the first game too. We just
That's
like
true.
run from everything through the dungeon until we get to the end boss.
Yeah, only 3,000 I think experience left for GameCola to level up again. So I will say that as much as I don't like the enemies here, this is a decent place to grind for experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, speaking of that, what is everyone's opinion on games where the amount of experience varies based on how many people are in the party?
Oh, as so like where it splits
Yeah,
the
so you have
experience.
you have set amount of XP that this monster gives, and then it's divided equally among however many party members.
Yep. I remember that killed me in the Seventh Saga, because once you start getting a second party member, your EXP gets cut in half.
I started watching a playthrough of the Seventh Saga. That's a really interesting looking game, honestly.
Interesting looking, yeah.
I thought you said it was one of your favorite games.
It is one that eternally lives in my memory because it seems more interesting than it is. There's a lot of things that, like, it is visually interesting, you know, the whole spiraling down in 3D into the battle, and then you're like in a, you know, over the shoulder perspective, like that's really great. There's some weird stuff that happens in the story, but like in the end, okay,
Here we go.
there are some fun things that happen in the story. Oh, here we go. Yeah. But it's like you play for 60 hours to get like, you know, maybe 30 minutes worth of actually like interesting content.
Ouch.
Sorry, continue.
All right, let's see.
Jetty, your turn to read.
Oh, Orfeo could hear a voice drawing near.
Orfeo, be not deceived by false visions.
Welcome. to-
Okay, so after me it's Mark, so Mark, you're up next.
Okay, sorry.
Here we go.
All right. Welcome to Braggle's Stalls. May I help thee? No.
James?
Yep.
James, it's you.
Greetings. I am the keeper of this inn.
Jetty, back to you.
Back by my tools.
Thou hast come to Middenhall.
Hey, isn't that a
Wait,
place
isn't
that we wanted to
Middenhall where
be
we're
at?
from?
Yeah. Well, isn't that where they're pretending to be right now?
Yes.
Oh.
That's what it was. I'm getting my locations mixed up.
That was
I'd call
really
dibs on another one.
Yeah, that was really good there, Nathaniel. Very impressive.
Spot on.
I've been practicing all day for that.
Yep. I gotta find my keys. Where's my keys, man? Oh, there's another.
Dude.
Wow, you'd practiced it so much you did it twice. Now, I'm wondering if
Take
I
your
don't need to
throne.
talk to these guys there. I feel like I could step guard and go around, but I am curious to talk to these fellows here.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean,
They look like fine, upstanding
the
citizens.
fool's false paradise suited thee better. Thou shalt regret meddling in Hargon's affairs.
Oh, come on.
You again.
I was hoping that it would be, oh, was it not the Osworgo, the Gremlin?
Oh yeah.
I feel like
Yeah,
those
spells
characters
blocked.
used to represent gremlins a lot.
Are these the two things that were just standing there and we're fighting both of them now? That was supposed to happen?
We shall see. I think that would make sense.
Then the other one also has two that we have to fight.
Yeah. You killed my partner! I shall fight you now! Two more come out.
Yeah. That would be fun, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah, you were asking about experience being split amongst party members.
Yeah.
I feel like that if that happens, that really heavily disincentivizes you from putting more members in your party.
I remember, so like in Seventh Saga, you have the option to get other people in your party, and that like it's kind of a core gameplay element, but that my dad actually beat the game without like it almost seems like it's required. It's like something that you actively have to avoid, because if you talk to the other characters in the game, they will
I would
often
say
just
search
join
this.
you.
Oh, no, I
Search
see,
this
but
and
I
then
can
search
see
the
from
tree.
here there's a jail door hidden behind that
Ah,
spot
yes.
over there.
Ooh. But like people just forcibly insert themselves into your party if you so much as glance at them.
Yeah, that like if you go and you
Okay.
talk to certain characters, they will just immediately be like, "Hey, you seem powerful. We should team up." So like he had to know which ones were like scripted events where like you should talk to them, or ones where like, oh, they might accidentally join you, and that like he got all the way to the end of the game without ever getting a second party member.
Do we want to explore the other edge first?
I think it might just be more of the same. Yeah.
Yep. No, seems to be the case.
All right.
Yes, I have a lot of
and-
things to say about the Seventh Saga.
So as far as splitting XP goes, whatever. Honestly, it doesn't make a difference to me.
Oh, I like that message. When you
There's
fail
no
to use
prison.
the jailer's key, there is no prison here.
There's a prison there. Oh, don't forget to recast it.
Yeah, I gotta
Ooh.
recast it because this is a badly
keep
designed
on guard.
spell. Oh, I was gonna say
What?
if this chest is empty, I'm gonna be disappointed. I am disappointed.
Ooh,
Am I going to be
is this
double
one empty?
disappointed? I am.
I do like the thing that's in the center. That's very interesting to look at. Yeah, no spoilers. Oh man, that's a pain that you have to
I've
keep
used almost
recasting it.
half of my magic just from casting Step Guard.
Now, granted, when you do this again, you
My
won't.
steps were supposed to be gone.
What? Are you?
You may need to use your charm again. I want to say.
No, I was gonna say, use. Yeah. The Charm of Rubus or whatever, right? Or the Eye of Malroth or something.
Yeah.
One of the ofs.
Well,
You might need to be
you
standing
have to
exactly on that space.
I was
Yeah.
standing in the censor and it didn't. There we
No.
go.
Stand
Well,
exactly
yeah.
on that
Use
space,
it.
and then use the charm.
Aye,
Yeah.
aye.
Help.
Try
100%.
try all of the things, all of the possible.
100%. Intuitive gameplay here.
Oh,
What?
oh, here we go.
Wherever this is. So, that said, we're at 51 minutes of this recording.
Yeah, I think. And also, I've used half of Orpheo's MP just using Step Guard.
So I might be inclined to return to town, heal up, do the whole run back here thing, and then beeline for here using as little MP on Step Guard as possible.
Yeah, let's
Yeah, now that we
outside.
know.
And for these
Oh.
single.
What?
Hang on. I have an idea.
Or-
This might be.
For these. Sorry, go ahead.
Hang on a second. So, we do this now outside. Yeah, there we
Smart.
go. That's
That's
dumb.
smart.
I shouldn't have to do that.
Now, it's possible you could have cast Return from there because it might have counted as being on the overworld
Maybe.
without casting outside first. But yeah, I like the thought of heal up, and then maybe for the single block, where it's just the one block that we have to step on and we all take 15 damage, deal with it, and then we'll heal using our shields in battle.
Yeah, that's probably a smart idea.
Also, GameCola is about to level up.
He is. He's very close. And I'll make this once more satisfying.
Thank you, very good. Except you're going the wrong direction, but that's okay, it's close enough.
That's all right. We're exiting the other direction.
Yeah, we can go both directions.
It's variety. I'm spicing things up.
Aha. So it is at the end of our time here, Mark. Are we going to see you next time? Are you going to become a different person?
Should I become a different person?
I don't know.
I mean, you can if you want.
Well, we'll figure that out next time.
Well, we'll figure out if I want to trans.
And on that existential bombshell, we'll see you guys later.